Hey you guys, welcome to another video. I decided to change things up here a little bit and just go for my walk. I used to do these things, but I haven't stopped walking. I just haven't done any videos where I'm actually out here walking. They say it's gonna get up to 100 degrees today, so I said let me get out here early before before I start cooking for real. But I love the heat and love the sunlight. You may not be a heat person, but you better be a light person. You better be a sunlight person. So make sure you're getting out here and getting your sunlight, okay? Because we desperately need it. Your body is craving for it. You need to get it, okay? All right, so anyway, glad that you guys can join me on this short walk here. But I just wanted to chat just for a few moments. Before we continue, let me just say this and be very clear, okay? Please, I'm gonna be very clear, all right? So if you are a person that's very sensitive, okay, and you are a person that's very religious, in other words, God said it, I believe it, and that settles it, and that's it. I'm not mocking you, but if you're that person, then I'm just gonna tell you that this is probably not the video for you, all right? So if you're a very sensitive person, and you're a person that you're very religious, then don't waste your time. You can swipe away to the next video and enjoy your day, okay? But in this video, we're going to be using our brains, we're going to be using our minds, and we're just going to talk some basic sense. That's all we're doing, okay? And so I just wanted to make that clear before we get started. All right, so in this video, we're going to just kind of be walking through the logic that's out here, okay? We're just walking through it. And whatever your conclusion is pretty much up to you. But we're just going to walk through the logic that's out here, okay? So there's this belief that people base on passages in the scripture that talks about that one day that people are going to, his people, talking about Israel now, and it's believed amongst Hebrews that certain black folks, they believe that they are the Israel that's talked about in the Bible, okay? And so what they believe is that a day is coming where they are going to be part of this number of people that's going to be gathered and taken away from this place to another place where there will be, it'll be a little bit more peaceful, and most importantly, it'll be a lot more order, and you're gonna have all of that, right? So that's what they believe, all right? And so, how often do you see a truck driving on a train track? But anyway, so this is what they believe, all right? That this is going to happen. And so what tends to happen is when things come up like so there's this proclivity, I'll just say it this way. So this is why there's this proclivity a lot of times for when you listen to these individuals, anytime they talk about things that are happening like current events, they tend to focus more on the negative, like everything's a judgment, everything is bad news. Oh, we're getting closer to that time. I saw this video the other day. Well, I just saw the thumbnail and just rolled my eyes. This one individual said that the northern lights are a sign of judgment. You know how recently I guess people were seeing the northern lights all over the place. I think it was something else. I think it was anyway, it could have been some government stuff. I don't know. I ain't gonna get into that. But anyway, this individual posted that the northern lights are judgment, all right? So everything is a judgment. Everything is bad news. Everything is evil. Everything is wicked. And this is what these people, what they harp on that. And what they believe they're doing is by focusing on the negative, what we're gonna do is give you some hope, and the hope is, well, don't worry about it, honey, because one day he's gonna take us all away, but this place is just bad, and so that's kind of how the vibe is when you listen to these individuals. It's always negative. There's not, we're just gonna focus on all things negative. There's no positive at all. Don't worry about it, because one day he's going to just take us all away and you ain't got to worry about any of that, right? So that's why a lot of times these people focus on that, because they ultimately is hopelessness. They want to get into your mind that you are surrounded and probably drowning in hopelessness. So don't even look for any kind of hope in this area, in this space at all. And that's what they focus on, right? But one day he's going to come and he's going to take us all back. And so you focus on that. You focus on the sweet by and by, because he's going to take us away, right? So that's the focus. That's the emphasis, that when you listen to these individuals, they tend to emphasize that, okay? Okay, so now let me ask you something. So what precedent can you point to in history where a group of people who, let's be real, when we're talking about our people, there's a lot of disorder, there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of self-hatred that we have amongst ourselves. What precedent can you point to in history where a group of people that fit that description all of a sudden just kind of came together like the Transformers, or just assembled together, and all of a sudden became one unit that's just working together and all that? When was the last time you seen something like that? I mean, let's just keep it a buck. When was the last time you seen something like that? Okay, so what makes you think outside of the Bible, what makes you think that black people all of a sudden are going to be magically gathered together and magically going to start working together as this one unit, Voltron? What makes you think outside of the Bible? Because many of you are immediately trying to, you're already in the comment section, already saying, well, in the scriptures it says this, in the script. No. Let's put it to the side. The Bible ain't gonna go nowhere. We ain't gonna go nowhere. It ain't gonna run off. I'm just asking you, what precedent in history have you ever seen of any group that has a history of being disordered, being ununified, not unified, and dealing with a severe case of self-hatred, that all of a sudden they're just going to come together and all of a sudden going to start working together? Okay, so that's my first thing. So let's continue. Like I said, we're just going to walk through the logic here. Okay, now the other thing I hear oftentimes is when people say that, there's a scripture that says that you're going to be hated by all men or all nations or something like that. But if you continue to read it, it says because of me, okay? And not because you're black. It says you're going to be hated by all because of me. That's what it says. And see, people like to leave that part out. And so what I hear a lot of times, people will say, see, we're hated all over the nations. All the nations, they just hate us. Well, let's stop and think about that for a second. Let's just talk about black folks for a second, okay? Again, we're just being real. We're just being transparent and just being honest here. Now, as a black individual, all right, and like I said, we're going to put black in air quotes because that can apply to black Americans, that can apply to Africans, that can apply to anybody that considers themselves black. It applies to you, okay? So we're not going to get caught up in the semantics and all of that, okay, for this video. Okay, so as a black individual, can you honestly say that you are suffering because you're black in this society at a greater level than, let's say, our people did in the, during slavery and then post-slavery, then Jim Crow and all of that? Can you honestly say that? I mean, really, can we honestly say that? Now, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. That's not where this argument is. This is not where this discussion is leading. I'm not saying that racism does not exist. So please do not get ahead of me and think that's where I'm going, because that's not where I'm going. But I'm being honest here. When you step outside, because I hear many people, they talk about how when they, it's so bad here, let's say in America, our people getting blown, shot up all in the streets and all this other stuff, right? And we emphasize those stories that make the headlines, that where a black person did get killed by a cop, or some racial based injustice or whatever took place or whatever. So those things do happen. So we're going to be honest with that. But if we're honest, okay, the average black person, can we honestly say that that is our daily life? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. In my own experience, have I experienced racism? Absolutely. Have I experienced levels of injustice towards me? Absolutely. But can I honestly say that this is something that I deal with on a daily basis? Absolutely not. And I would argue in most cases, my life is pretty good. And when I say pretty good, I don't mean pretty good like I got all the money I ever won and I'm living where I want to live and all this other stuff. No, I'm still striving for where I want to be. But at the same time, I can't sit up here and get on social media and try to paint this picture as if I'm just drowning in hopelessness, because that's not true at all. So, but now let's continue this honest discussion that we're having here, okay? Now, when we look at where our people feel the most endangered, can we honestly say it's because that only happens when we're around white people? Can we honestly say that? Or is it when we're around our people? I want you to really think about this. Okay? Because we don't like having this discussion. We don't like talking about it. In fact, some of y'all probably getting mad now because I'm bringing this up. But like I say, you can keep moving, okay? Because we're going to be straight up here. When we look at the rates, okay, and everybody's all over the place when it comes to black on black violence and all that other stuff, right? But the fact of the matter is, we are more of a threat to ourselves than these people are. That's just the facts. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are more of a threat to ourselves than these people are. Have these people done stuff to us? Are they doing things? Yes, but a lot of it is in auto drive right now because we have adopted the poison that they have sown into us, right? And we have put that thing on auto drive, and now we're in control of it. We can point to many examples where our people are getting tore up, gunned down. We are the ones that are on social media tearing each other down. It ain't the Klan. Think about it. Think about all these videos that are on social media where black folks are tearing each other, or black folks are being attacked verbally. It ain't white people really doing. It's white people doing that, but it's mostly us. We're going back and forth, even in the Hebrew community. Can the Hebrew community honestly say that you are a picture-perfect example of what it's like to be a community? Can you honestly say that? And like I say, you can't spell community without the word unity. Y'all not even unified on the 12 tribe chart. So can you honestly say that you are an example of what it's like, or what it should be? Can you honestly say that? So what do you think is going to happen if you are magically scooped up by the Most High, by God, Yah, whatever you want to call him, and he's going to drop you off in this land somewhere? How do you think that's going to play out? You got all these black folks all together somewhere. We don't know if it's hot and we don't know if it's cold, but if you get a lot of black folks and there ain't no AC, you know how that's going to go down. That's not gonna work out too well. So in your imagination, what I'm saying, because a lot of this is imaginative base, is that we think that what we keep telling ourselves is that we're going to be magically taken up, dropped somewhere, and that we're all just going to be in unity, loving each other. But we haven't demonstrated that here. Because if you're not able to demonstrate it here, how the heck you think it's going to go down if you were to be taken somewhere else? And I've talked about in this, my latest podcast, you got people out here telling you got to flee, you got to run to Africa. What example can you give Africans of unity and peace and love and working together? What example can you come there with? Because all over Africa, even though you have examples of that, but most of Africa is still very divided. So how can you do that? And see, for some of you who are listening to me again right now, you'll say, well, no, the Most High gonna do that. He gonna do everything. He gonna do everything. Y'all done assign so much to that, but you at the same time, you say that he's in you. How is he in you? If he's in you, if he's in you, then that means you have the ability to model this out, right? You should have the ability to model it out. If he is in you, let me say this again. If he's truly in you, then that means you have the ability to model it out. But why is it not being modeled out when you just get a whole bunch of your people together or whatever? Now, what am I saying? I'm not saying that black people are incapable of working together. That's not true. There are pockets of examples of this. And this is something I did a video on a while back, talking about how community should look in this day and age. And it's not this whole millions and tens of millions of people all together, because it ain't going to be the large crowds. It's really going to be small groups. If you really want to build a community, you got to think small. You really do. Because you can't save everybody. You know what I'm saying? So these are just a few things I want to throw out, and I want you to really think about it. Now, if you want to leave a comment, maybe you have some thoughts. Of course, our comment section is wide open, but here's my qualifiers, okay? Number one, you cannot use any scriptures, okay? You cannot use any scriptures. We're not looking at the Bible. This is just a practical, basic conversation, okay? So you can't be pointing to Jeremiah and 1 Kings and all this stuff. We're talking about today, in the here and the now. Now, if you're incapable of doing that, then don't bother, okay? And then number two, of course, stay on topic. As long as you can do those two things, you are more than welcome to leave a comment. But I wanted to do this video because our people got to get out of this imaginative space that we've been living in. And by doing so, it's become dangerous, because we take ourselves out of being problem solvers now. Instead, everything's pushed out to one day he's going to do it. No, how about today we do it? Why can't that be the theme? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope you got something out of this video. It's still nice out, but I'm feeling it's still nice. But they say it's going to get up to 100 today, so let me kind of head on back. So you guys take care. I'll see you next time in the next video.